gone from the Knicks because they totally disrespected him, according to Alonzo Mourning, class of '92. And now the focus of the fan frenzy in New York is on replacing Patrick in the Knicks donut lineup with Dikembe Mutombo, Hoya, class of '91. But I get ahead of myself. After 15 years in a Knick uniform, Patrick takes his 23,000 points and 38-year-old knees to Javaland without any promises of the contract extension he sought. The Knicks and Sonics finally finding trading partners after going through 4 dozen different combinations. It always came back to Ewing, though. Instead of getting Vin Baker or Horace Grant, the Knicks get Glenn Rice and Vernon Maxwell, giving them more swing man than Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. They also get Travis Knight and Luke Longley and the Lakers and Sonics first-round picks in 2001. The Lakers end up with Grant anyway to help Shaq inside and Chuck Person to, well, try to help replace Rice's aging firepower. Phoenix gets Chris Dudley, the Knicks' #1 pick next year, and a whole lot of cash. Ewing will not arrive in Seattle until next week, but there were plenty of others today to talk about the deal.
We're going to miss Patrick Ewing. Through the years, I have had what I think is a very special relationship with him, and a number of people have already characterized this in certain ways. Let me tell you this is not a divorce. It is the end of an era.
He, told me that he thought it was time for a fresh start, and I'm really happy for him that he's going to be able to continue his unbelievable Hall of Fame career at a place where he wanted to be, which is Seattle.
It's a dream of mine. I've always wanted to come and perform in the Garden on a regular basis. Now I have that opportunity to be a very important weapon for them instead of against them.
Now, thanks in part to Al Gore's invention of the internet, news travels fast, and it didn't take long for the Dream Team to get the lowdown down under. Sonics guard Gary Payton says Patrick in Seattle is a good idea.
Guys, I mean, Patrick's going to get a present. Now we can play defense like we did 3 years ago, where if they go to the basket, we know Patrick's going to be back there to challenge some shots. And we needed that. And I ain't never played with a center in my career in Seattle, and now I got one, and I'm going to try to use him as much as possible.
With more on the big trade that everyone expected to eventually happen, but still had some surprises to it, David Aldridge joining us from New York. David, that Patrick Ewing went somewhere is not stunning. That he went to Seattle is not stunning. Surprise you at all who all was involved in the deal?
No, basically, Bob, this was the same deal that they talked about a couple of weeks ago. They had to find another team when Detroit pulled out of the original deal, and when Phoenix indicated it was willing to get involved in the trade, they basically put the same trade together with a couple of tweaks to it, but basically the same deal. So the one question that I think a lot of people have is, what will the Knicks do now that they have Glenn Rice and Latrell Sprewell and Allen Houston? It would seem obvious and logical that they might have to make a move to break up that logjam, but the Knicks say they're done dealing.
This is the team that we are going to training camp with, and we feel very good about this team and very excited about its prospects.
You know, I'm not as concerned with positions. Glenn's really the first true small forward we've had here since Kiki Vandeweghe. Sprewell's played very well there. They're all going to play. It's my job to make it work, put our best players out there, get them to play well together.
I realized that going out to LA, I had to sacrifice a little bit, and it took some getting used to. And I'm much more mature now. By doing that, we were able to win a championship, and if I have to sacrifice a little bit here, if it's the cause of us winning the championship here, I'm willing to do that.
Jeff Van Gundy said that he would be looking at a lot of different combinations, but that he had no problems playing all three of the players together, Houston, Sprewell, and Rice. That means Sprewell might play a little point guard, or they might move everybody down and Rice might play some power forward. The bigger problem for the Knicks, Bob, is rebounding. They were 5th in the league in rebounding last season, but they were not a good offensive rebounding team. Rebounding and interior defense with Patrick Ewing gone is a big issue here.
Yeah, where are they going to get that from the cast of characters they have now if they're done dealing?
Well, if they're done dealing, and I'm not sure that they're done, but they say they are, a guy like Kurt Thomas is going to have a big season for them. He's a guy that can provide some low-post defense and rebounding and block some shots. Luke Longley has not, during his career, been known as a great defensive player, let's be honest. And Glenn Rice has not been a great defensive player during his career. So they're going to have to find defense from Camby and from guys like Kurt Thomas. That's where their interior presence is going to come.
If they are not done dealing, Rice can't be moved now for 2 months because of league rules. Which one is more marketable to you, Latrell or Houston? And is there somebody out there that's a taker?
Well, I think with Allen Houston, you have to keep in mind he's got an out in his contract at the end of this season. So I don't think a team would be willing to talk about dealing for Houston unless they were sure they could re-sign him. As far as Sprewell goes, I think he does have a lot of value. And again, I was told earlier this week that the Knicks had included him in a package along with Marcus Camby for Dikembe Mutombo. And the Knicks, Scott Layden, denied that today and said that wasn't the case. But I think Sprewell has a lot of value, but Houston might have more. The problem, again, is can you re-sign him after this season?
Yeah, one last question. Is there anybody else out there in the middle that they could go get? That, you know, we're not talking all-star caliber, not a Mutombo, but a good, serviceable, big guy in the middle.
No, Bob, there's not. You know, there's no centers in this league. There's very few of them that are available. The ones that are available, you probably don't want. So no, there's no savior out there that's just waiting to be traded. Mutombo is obviously the best center that might be available, but the Hawks have maintained steadfastly that right now they have no interest in trading Mutombo, even though he is also going to be a free agent at the end of this season, that they think they can re-sign him and rebuild around him. So if Mutombo is not available, then the Knicks are going to have to make do with what they've got.
All right, thanks a lot. David Aldridge reporting from New York on the Patrick Ewing deal. Later on ESPN News, the legacy left by Patrick in New York. How could he be denied happiness so often?
Seasons, but for Gary Payton, the risk was worth the reward.
For us to keep being and get Patrick Ewing, that helps us a lot because it's going to take a lot off a lot of guys. I mean, Patrick's going to get a present. Now we can play defense like we did 3 years ago where if they go to the basket, we know Patrick's going to be back there to challenge some shots. And we needed that. And I ain't never played with a center in my career in Seattle, and now I got one, and I'm going to try to use him as much as possible.
More proof to back up what Gary was saying. No starting center for Seattle has averaged even 10 points per game over the past 5 seasons. Patrick Ewing over that same span, 20 points and 10 boards. Last Seattle center to average more than 14. Previously mentioned Jack Sigma. As for the gaggle of new Knicks, well, David Aldridge now has that part of the story.
The Ewing era ended in the same building in which it began 15 years ago. With the franchise's all-time leading scorer and rebounder not present, the Knicks moved forward, having honored what they said was Ewing's request to be traded.
He was convinced at this time in his career and his life that he did want to explore change. And, you know, so I think he was as sure as you could be. And I didn't try to convince him. I told him that I wanted him to be personally as happy as he could be, but there was no way I could recommend a trade that wasn't also good for the Knicks.
Let me tell you this. This is not a divorce. It is the end of an era.
Into the center breach steps veteran Luke Longley. The centerpiece of the deal from New York's perspective, though, was Glenn Rice, fresh off a world championship with the Lakers, but unhappy with how he was used there.
There's a time when there's change needed, and I think it was, you know, it was definitely time for me to move on. Now I'm looking forward to being here in New York and getting another opportunity to win a championship here. So, you know, with having the 2 most important rings in my life, a wedding ring and now an NBA championship ring, I need to add a 3rd.
Sources maintain that the Knicks offered a package including Latrell Sprewell and Marcus Camby for Atlanta center Dikembe Mutombo. The Knicks denied it.
This is the team that we are going to training camp with. And we feel very good about this team and very excited about its prospects.
The Knicks say that they will retire Ewing's number 33 at some point during the upcoming season. In the meantime, it's Van Gundy who has his work cut out for him, acknowledging that it will be difficult to keep everybody happy on a suddenly loaded perimeter-based team. In New York, I'm David Aldridge, ESPN.
David, thanks. And joining us for more discussion now on the Patrick Ewing trade is ESPN's NBA analyst, Dr. Jack Ramsey. Dr. Jack, let's start with the three principals in this trade. Seattle, they get the center they haven't had for a while. Are they that much better now? Can they challenge the Lakers out west?
I'm not sure they're going to challenge the Lakers, Trey, but they are significantly better. They have a true center now in Patrick Ewing. Remember, last season he got 15 points and 10 rebounds. I expect that he's going to do the same again this year, barring injury, but I think Patrick works hard at it and is well-conditioned even though he's 38 years old. So he'll give them the center that they've lacked, and this is a pretty good team all of a sudden. Probably ranks maybe the fourth best team, although Phoenix would challenge that statement, but fourth best behind the Lakers, Portland, and San Antonio. So this is going to be a pretty tough Seattle team, and Ewing will help them reach that level.
Patrick's certainly going to help the development of Vin Baker, and the key for him, obviously, as you said, is staying healthy, something he hasn't done the past 2 years. Let's talk now about the Lakers. Seattle got better in a way, Dr. Jack, by helping the Lakers, by giving them Horace Grant, more rebounding for L.A.
Yes, and Horace is a consummate professional. Had his best seasons under Phil Jackson at Chicago. The last 3 years he was there, averaging about 14 points and 11 rebounds. He's a solid big forward who can rebound the ball. He's a good defender. He's a good passer. He can make the jump shot facing the basket, which is very important on a team with Shaquille O'Neal.
All right, Jack, let's talk about the Knicks now, because this is where it really gets interesting. They have Glenn Rice now. They've got Latrell Sprewell. They've got Allen Houston. I don't think they have enough basketballs for that team right now.
Well, they have firepower, which Jeff Van Gundy likes. Talked to him just a short time ago. He's concerned about their defense and their rebounding, and well, he should be. He says that apportioning minutes is a matter of the players. If he's going into the season with this group, and he's already said that he expects to do that, then the players are going to have to sacrifice minutes and shots in order to have a good team. But don't discount the value of Luke Longley. He won't put up the numbers that Ewing did, but he's a solid player.
Well, Dr. Jack, it'll be interesting to see if the Knicks do go in with this team during the season, and if they do, how well Van Gundy can apportion those minutes. Dr. Jack Ramsey, thanks very much.
My pleasure, Trey.